So, who don't know what shadow work is? Come on.
So the study of the mind has happened ever since we recognized that there was consciousness. Um, Throughout the years, everybody has had their own input regarding this. Um, there's a couple of famous um, shrinks. That would be like Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, that kind of did the groundbreaking of what we know as our egos. So here's a diagram behind me, and I'm going to go ahead and show you a little bit of what kind of work that I do. So this first part here is yourself. You can see yourself in the middle there. Um, Above yourself is the ego. So this is your pride. This is who you believe yourself to be. And on the outside is the persona up here at the top. The persona is what we show everybody else. So like you have a TikTok persona, you have a persona for your family, you have a persona at work, you have a persona with your friends. It's how you show yourself to the world. Now, this is a societal construct. So this is going to be years of programming. Okay, your mom tells you you don't need to do this. You don't want people to see that about you. So you do not include it into your persona. And when we get reprimanded or taught things that maybe to be the things that are inside of you that you don't necessarily have a consciousness to. So going over shadow work, we first have to get into things like the ego and how it works and how you see yourself. Yourself is accumulation. It's all of this. It is your shadow. It is your ego. It is your persona. But only you know that true self that's inside of you. You may not always like the things about yourself, but that's where the shadow work kind of comes into not necessarily erase the things from your past or the feelings that you've had, but to sit with them and to maybe like have a deeper understanding. So with ego, we'll start with Sigmund Freud. Freud was kind of he was kind of out there when it came to a lot of his beliefs of how we operate in our mental state, where your passion comes, where your drive comes, your desire, your wants, and your manifestations. So in this, it would be yourself.
Oh, okay.
But he says id. And then your ego is part of yourself. But your ego is your persona, what you let other people see, how you've been influenced, and then the way that you react to your family, friends, environment, and things like that. And then with Freud, you also have your super ego, and your super ego is going to be that inner knowing, like your instincts, your morals, things that come inherently to yourself that you don't necessarily learn, but you kind of like your intuitions and things like that. It does develop pretty early. They say about 3 to 5 years old, and it is influenced by your society. So like say your family goes to church all the time. You're going to get your morals and things like that very young and things like that very young from that situation. But it does develop throughout life.
So, the ego, I mean, super ego, I mean, give me for some reason, I want to know, like, what's the difference in just an ego and I mean, like, you're talking ego and somebody that thinks that they're
So like your
creator?
your super ego in that aspect is going to come with judgment. So this is where you judge people. This is where you're projecting things out. So you're going to have blame. Sometimes it's like you'll see somebody doing something and you're so repulsed to your inner core that you kind of do the opposite of it. So that's where that super ego comes from. You can get so lost in your super ego that you don't allow yourself to do things that maybe are not against societal norms, but in your
Being
mind, the way that
open-minded.
you have processed it, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't really mess around too much with Freud, but those are some things that you may run across if your way of believing, called Taoism. Now, Taoism is going to be a lot of
Taoism.
monks and things like that will kind of stay in that root of Taoism. They see the ego. Now, this is another step into, because there's so many different, everybody's got their finger in the ego pot. So this is another one. So these people believe that ego is socially constructed. It is an environmental mainly. So this is what your society is going to put on you, and this is kind of like the bubble separating you and the world. So this is like that protective barrier. I don't want anybody to know that I'm insecure, so I'm going to act like I got everything figured out. Type that bubble, because they feel that if you go with the flow of the universe, you're living your authentic self. You're not because if we didn't have a society, we would be totally different people. If we didn't have external judgment, if we didn't have
no matter your belief system, no matter
right,
what, you're right. That's a fact.
We would be completely different. So their way of doing it, Taoism, Taoism, is getting rid of that artificial barrier between the sense of self and the Tao, which is Tao, which is what they call the universe, spirit, whatever your chosen higher power is. So you're kind of eliminating that. So that's why you see the guys in the orange robes and they meditate for long periods of time. They don't have personal possessions. They don't play into the societal norms.
You said who'd you say?
Like monks.
Monks. Okay, I didn't know. I want to make sure.
So that also goes into like, I'm not trying to make this into a religious
no, of course
thing,
not.
but I'm saying like Buddhism deals with resolving the ego. Taoism, there's a lot of different ones that
I just have to say about this morning, Buddhism and Christianity. I mean, that's Jesus and love and acceptance and peace and they just have a lot in common. So I wanted to say that for some folks.
A lot of this is if you take the kingdom of heaven is within, it's kind of that. You are that spark. You're that center. That self is such a wonderful thing that we no longer connect to it because we have all these outside influences that kind of push us away from our true being. TikTok persona is different than my everyday persona, and my everyday persona is different than myself. So it's all in what you allow others to see of you. But to have that, you have to have the consciousness. So you're consciously showing people the way that you want them to see you. So human beings live most of their lives through the persona, the social mask that helps them adapt, be accepted, and maintain order in relationships. So now most people, they stop with that persona because they believe that, life really does function smoothly that way. So with living in your persona, you'll see a lot of people actually lose their self within that persona. So, I've been a Marine for 30 years. That's me to a core. I'm a Marine. Well, you are, that is a persona that you have put out there, but is that the true who you are in your core? A lot of times we forget who we are because we're so busy, doing things for others or faking the projection of who we actually are. Okay, so I know that you want me to believe that you're this, that, and the other, but tell me who you really are. So when you start getting into that self, you have to remember that the unconscious doesn't disappear just because we don't look at it. So that's where the shadow comes in. Not dealing with the unconscious, like, oh, I got yelled at when I was 5 for eating too many sweets. So now I'm a health nut and I no longer ever want to eat anything sweet because I got shamed, and that's in the back of your head. You don't think about that when you go and pick up an apple. You think about, okay, I want to be health conscious. I want to be taking care of myself. But unconsciously, you're not wanting to be shamed for indulging in something.
Right.
So until you make things conscious, they're going to affect your life in a daily aspect. So this may be a lot of times not feeling secure as a child from like a father leaving, or not having a steady home with a father in it. So not dealing with that unconsciousness, you're going to maybe not break that cycle, and you're going to marry a man who's not emotionally available for you, or be in relationships where you feel like you're undervalued and are affecting us on a daily life in our daily basis. Then we can make those changes in a healthier way. But then none of this is going to be easy. This is all very difficult work.
Never. But anything worth is worth fighting for, no matter what it is.
Most definitely. There's a famous movie called Shrek.
I'm sorry.
And
within these last couple of days, it's been very much coming up.
within that movie, Shrek says, he's got layers. He's like an onion.
Yeah.
And that's a way to believe, like, that's a way to feel about ourselves. We have an exterior that we show people, our persona, our ego, which we decide, okay, this is what I want to show everyone so that I can protect myself. So that's the next layer. And then you have yourself. But if you have something that is festering within the shadow layer of your psyche, it's going to rot other layers. So when you're in this journey of self-discovery, you might say, well, how do I start? How do I even start with this? You have to be conscious. And I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, I'm conscious all day long. But you're not. You're conscious to the things around you. You may be conscious to your thoughts, but you're not conscious to reactions that maybe, because we don't want to be. So, like, the first step I would say is observation. So you're sitting in a conversation with somebody, and somebody says something that makes you feel uncomfortable. So your stomach is upset, you got a headache all of a sudden, you're sweaty, you want to avoid it. You're feeling like, okay, I want to not process what's going on here. There's your first indicator. What am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Where did it come from? Do I need that? And how do I get rid of it? So journaling, keeping a journal of like daily
journaling,
ups and downs. This made me feel this way. So that later on, when you're doing this shadow work, you can go through and be like, okay, I see a pattern here. I get uncomfortable when I'm alone with somebody, or
it's very
you
grounding
can start
as well.
to see,
Very grounding as well to journal.
Right. this next moment, instead of actually sitting with ourselves and enjoying the time that we do have, because sitting within yourself is very uncomfortable if you're not good with yourself. If you don't love yourself, you don't care about yourself, if you're not putting yourself first. I hope that
It does. I was just gonna say, I gotta grab some. Life is not. I mean, life is supposed to be fun and beautiful and peaceful. Now, is it always? No, of course not. This is Earth. But so many of us, with depression and the things we've been through. What I was going to ask a minute ago was, so I want everybody to know, like, these can be things that you don't even remember. You're not aware of.
yes.
It's in your subconscious, and it creeps up when you least freaking expect it.
Just because you're not thinking about it doesn't mean that it's not there.
You might not even
It's
remember some
happened,
of
you
it.
just haven't processed it. So
Yeah.
you can have like a stack of paperwork on your desk, and you can just not look at it, but it's still there. You still have to go through it. You still have to do it. Otherwise, now you feel uncomfortable. Now you feel like you're rushed.
So would
Now
you
you feel like
say?
you're overwhelmed. You're
Would you
not
say?
seeing it there, but it's still there. Or, sometimes we hold on to things because they're familiar, and we don't want to necessarily get rid of it. The shadow work is not necessarily getting rid of all these negative aspects that we think are us, that are the accumulation of us. Shadow work is giving those moments and those feelings, that inner child, time, sitting with it, understanding, hey, I pushed you down because I was scared to deal with you at the time. I'm stronger now. Let's rehash this. Let's go over it. Let me feel those feelings of insecurity. Let me feel those feelings of abandonment. Because if you don't feel them on that layer, you're going to feel them every day. You're going to feel rejected. You're going to feel abandoned. You're going to feel less than.
Austin says self-isolation gives me safety is probably not healthy.
Now, self-isolation is very important when you're doing your healing journey. A lot of times when you go through a healing journey, you don't want to be around anyone else.
Right. But at a point, though, would you tell him that, like, even an awakening, like you said, and I say all the time, we're sitting alone with ourselves. And I'm going to say I journal. I do get downloads, but a lot of times I'm journaling, and it's like just me and God. And now that's all I freaking want. Leave me alone. Go on, care yourself.
As long as you're doing, I would say it's unhealthy when you're sitting in those emotions, but you're not processing them. So when you do shadow work, you have to complete it. Otherwise, it's like picking a scab and then the wound is just there open. It's just an unhealthy process. Instead of pushing everything down and not working on it as it's coming in, save yourself some time and just process it as it's coming in. Side, you're still feeling like, oh man, I'm very insecure. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what path I'm going to go down. Your relationships with others is going to suffer. Your relationships at work is going to suffer. And it manifests itself in different ways, depending on what it is that you need worked on. But one day you'll just sit down and be like, wow, none of my friends at work like me. My boss thinks that I'm an arrogant jerk. And anytime that I feel like I make a mistake at work, I feel like I gotta leave. I can't work there anymore or something like that. It's just an unhealthy process. Instead of pushing everything down and not working on it as it's coming in, save yourself some time and just process it as it's coming in. When you feel like maybe you let a parent down, you have been told over and over, I can't rely on you, I can't trust you, you're not doing the things that I want you to do. A lot of times we take that and internalize that. And then in adult years, we turn it into, I'm a people pleaser. I'm going to see it from your point of view, but I can't see it from my point of view. Because I don't have an inner point of view. I'm seeing it from, you're seeing the external. You're seeing everybody else's view. But yours is an important one. So people pleasing is not necessarily the best. Learn from very sharpness.
What? Beating around the bush? I'm like, for example, my son. I'm always I already, well, he knows, one, you got mother's intuition, and then he knows me. I mean, you know how that goes. But he's like, I'm so sick of and this is for everybody, but just beating around. Why not just come out and let's talk about it and get it over with? I mean, it's like sugar.
Because a lot of times that's that inner child work. Children are not, I mean, they'll say things and be very blunt and be very open about things. But you see it with children. The parents say, oh, well, you can't say that. Or you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. You can't be like that. And that's where we learn it. We learn that if I'm open and honest with you, your opinion of me is going to change. And I don't want, that's a wound. That's a wound right there. So if somebody is overly sensitive, that's a wound. We have to see, where did that wound come from? When did I learn it? Why do I feel like this? What would change if I healed this part of me? And those are all the things that we need to go through with that journaling, keeping track of what the triggers are, what made me feel this way, why do I feel this way, and sitting with it. Feeling those feelings, not just pushing them down. From the time I was, but I'm a very anxious person. I can't be overly stimulated because I feel like I can't handle things if I'm overly stimulated. But as a child, and this is one that I'm working on currently, as a child, I had things stacked on me, things that you got to do to keep things running. Like my mom is a 24-hour go type person, and I'm not. I get overwhelmed. That's one of the things that I'm currently working on. You can work on yourself every single day for the rest of your life, and you're not going to hit everything because we accumulate things. It's always
life happens. Life happens like every day. Life happens still. So yeah, sorry, Lee. We tried those apps. Y'all make sure and follow. There's Lee, astrology healing that we did that I was just talking about. So follow Lee, and of course follow Oblivion here. Miss Destiny, my girl, says another thing would be staying so busy. Be considered a person, or is the okay? Another thing would me staying so busy be considered a part. Okay.
So is it going to be considered a persona? It can turn into a persona, most definitely.
I didn't see that.
I'm so busy that I'm an overachiever. People can rely on me. I'm, the cornerstone to my family. Or I'm the person who never has a free moment. So yeah, it can turn into a persona, but let's see, is that more of a trauma response? Of course it's a trauma response. If I have no time to think about things that have happened to me, then I no longer have to work on those things that have happened to me, or the feelings that I had, or the feelings that I've been suppressing. So you're busy stressing yourself out in a different way than stressing yourself out by resolving the issue. A lot of things that we do, we don't know why we do them. And then that's where, there's a couple of different programs that you can go into. There's a really good book called The Shadow Workbook Journal, and I'm going to put her name in here. Okay. You can get it off of it's on my shop.
Singing the ego. We did just get through talking about the ego. I hate you missed it, darling.
Workbook. You can get it off the TikTok shop. It's actually on my showcase. It's called The Shadow Workbook Journal.
Well, a lot of people have those, but you say this one is actually worth getting.
Yeah, that one's for the price of it and the amount that you're going to get out of it. I think that's going to be the best value. You don't even have to get it from my shop. You know what I mean? Like if I really was like, oh, I'll get it from my shop,
Go get it from
but you can get it from
Oblivion's
anywhere.
shop, guys. Y'all know I say every live. I got a link for that. Okay, so head over. I said it. She didn't. Head over
You got it,
to.
yeah.
There we go.
So like I got that book for myself and to do some shadow work. I ended up passing it along to my partner, and like I think a lot of people can have it may not vibe with you completely, but you're going to find some things in there to actually get the ball rolling when it comes to doing the work that you need.
Shadow work to me. I stopped going. Well, good. Well, it's important. You know, there's like I say, there's just so much more spirituality and